You've probably seen this happen quite a bit lately. I also know that a lot of people think that this is just lazy or a pretentious designer justifying their paycheck. With logo redesigns and minimal elements showing up in new places, we are seeing a lot more of it across the board, and there's a reason for its upsurge in popularity. Simplicity is an important design principle with powerful applications that you may not have considered. When it comes to visual design, it's a creative field. Each discipline, like art or fashion, serves a specific purpose, and in so doing, context matters. This means that while I'll speak highly of simplicity, by nature of being a creative field, it means that these ideas have often been utilized or subverted for the better. This is a guiding principle and my opinion for its use. Simplicity is simply the idea that you strip a design down to its most essential aspects. For Apple, it's moving away from the detailed illustration and settling on the iconic minimal silhouette that we know today. Think of the many minimal logos like the Nike swoosh, the Google word mark, and the Target symbol. Minimalism also remains a fixture in streetwear, architecture, interior design, and in art. But why though? Why would you want to strip things down? Take music videos for an example. They are typically set to elevate the concept of a song, a visual add-on that helps add a layer of creativity to the experience of the piece that you're experiencing. There really are no rules of what you can choose to show. Graphic design, depending on the context, is meant to communicate ideas clearly. When designing a logo, for example, a couple of things matter. The logo must, 1, be suitable. A clean, flat, sans serif typeface wouldn't make sense for a WrestleMania logo, but rather a bold, grand, and stupendous presentation makes a lot more sense. It also needs to be memorable. Think about the Facebook logo. Well, it now goes by Meta, but yeah, that logo. It's memorable because it's just a lowercase f and a simple, distinct blue background. And it also needs to be simple. Think about the golden arches that have been attached to McDonald's. They are a staple in fast food imagery and iconic in its use and application. Ideas like this are expertly broken down by designers like Saji Haviv as well as Paul Rand, just to name a few. When thinking of a corporate identity, the logo you design needs to be the face of that company, and that face, much like a bodybuilder, has to do some heavy lifting. It should be scalable, so pretty good when it's teeny tiny, and pretty good when it's a chunky boy as well. It needs to be print friendly, work as a favicon, so on and so forth. The primary goal of people who need a logo, whether it be a massive corporation or a small business, is to be memorable and communicate the values that they hold. The less you have to memorize when it comes to marks, the easier it is to recall it. Some of the biggest athletic brands like Nike, Puma, or Adidas, you can't really get any simpler than what they already are, which helps in how memorable they become, which is something that other companies are chasing. Some companies were trendy in its time, but now look outdated by comparison. Corporate identities strive for the timeless look, which is why we see a bunch of rebrands happening today. Rebrands are hoping to rectify their look and update their design to work better in the contemporary society we live in. Take the F1 logo redesign for an example. The previous mark remains iconic and was an excellent example of using negative space that denotes both the letter F and the number 1 with an indicator of speed through the streaks that you find on the right hand side of the logo. The rebrand updated the mark to a design that emphasizes aerodynamics and how sleek and curved the mark is. The minimal line work clearly reads as F1, but could also be read as the corner you would find at a racetrack when it's blown up. It has great application as a graphic on the side of vehicles as well as on merchandise. So when you see a company unveil a logo, really think about what's happening there. Are they reconstructing their image because something bad has happened? Kind of like the Cleveland Guardians and the decades of heat for how they chose to represent themselves in their previous moniker? Or are they just updating a logo that felt updated? What exactly is the context? That's the thing we should be thinking about once a new logo is presented. Simplicity works best in design as it simply does what it needs to do. It needs to be accessible and understood as quickly as possible. Clear communication maximizes that. So what's the point I've been trying to make here? Simplicity can be an effective tool in solidifying communication, and if done well, remains timeless. It's an aesthetic that remains relevant regardless of when you encounter it. This is probably why Bauhaus design elements are still revered to this day. It's an accessible ideology that reflects the practicality of visual communication. This doesn't mean there's no value in intricately detailed designs, like the Art Deco-inspired psychedelic concert posters of the 60s or the Jack Daniels aesthetics. They are strong designs and their context helps inform that. TLDR, I basically put the simp in simplicity.